chapter 2, part 12, verse 226. For those who swear that they will not approach their wives, there shall be a waiting period of 4 months, if they revert to conciliation. Surely, God is most forgiving and ever merciful. Verse 227. But if they decide upon divorce, God is all-hearing and all-knowing. These are guidelines for divorce with respect to men only. Verse 228. Divorced women should wait for 3 menstrual cycles. It is unlawful for them, if they believe in God and the last day, to hide what God has created in their wombs. Their husbands have the right to take them back within that time, if they desire to be reconciled. The wives have rights corresponding to those which the husbands have, according to what is recognized to be fair, but men have a rank above them. God is almighty and all-wise. Verse 229. Divorce may be pronounced twice, and then a woman must be retained honorably, or released with kindness. It is not lawful for you to take away anything of what you have given your wives, unless both fear that they would not be able to observe the bounds set by God. In such a case it shall be no sin for either of them if the woman opts to give something for her release. These are the bounds set by God. Do not transgress them. Those who transgress the bounds of God are wrongdoers. Verse 230. And if man finally divorces his wife, he cannot remarry her until she has married another man. Then if the next husband divorces her, there will be no blame on either of them if the former husband and wife return to one another, provided they think that they can keep within the bounds set by God. These are the bounds prescribed by God, which he makes clear to men of understanding. Verse 231. Once you divorce women, and they have reached the end of their waiting period, then, either retain them in all decency or part from them decently. Do not retain them in order to harm them, or to wrong them. Whoever does this, wrongs his own soul. Do not make a mockery of God's revelations. Remember the favors God has bestowed upon you, and the book, and the wisdom he has revealed to exhort you. Fear God and know that God is aware of everything. Verse 232. When you divorce women, and they reach the end of their waiting period, do not prevent them from marrying other men, if they have come to an honorable agreement. This is enjoined on every one of you, who believes in God, and the last day. It is more wholesome and purer for you. God knows, but you do not know. Verse 233. And the divorced mothers should nurse their children for 2 whole years, if they wish to complete the period of nursing, and during that period the father of the child shall be responsible for the maintenance of the mother in a reasonable manner. No soul is charged with more than it can bear. No mother should be made to suffer on account of her child, and no father should be made to suffer on account of his child. The same duties devolve upon the father's heir in case of the death of the father. But if, after consultation, they choose by mutual agreement to wean the child, there shall be no blame on them. Nor shall it be any offense for you if you desire to engage a wet nurse for your children, provided you hand over what you have agreed to pay, in a reasonable manner. Have fear of God and know that God is observant of all your actions. Verse 234. If any of you die and leave widows, the widows should wait for 4 months and 10 days. When they have reached the end of their waiting period, you will not be blamed for what they may reasonably choose to do with themselves. God is aware of what you do. Verse 235. It shall be no offense for you to hint at a proposal of marriage to divorced or widowed women, or to cherish them in your hearts. God knows that you will bear them in mind. But do not enter into any secret arrangement with them, beyond conveying some indication to them of your inclination. Do not proceed with tying the marriage knot before the end of their waiting period. Know that God has knowledge of all your thoughts. Therefore, take heed and bear in mind that God is forgiving and forbearing. Verse 236. You will not be blamed for not paying the dower money, if you divorce women, when you have not yet consummated the marriage, or fixed a dower money upon them, but make fair provision for them, the affluent according to his means, and the straitened according to his means. This is binding on righteous men. Verse 237. If you divorce them before the marriage is consummated, but after their dower money has been settled, give them the half of their dower money, unless they the women agree to forego it, or the man the husband in whose hand lies the marriage not forgoes it. To forego is nearer to righteousness. Do not neglect any chance of behaving benevolently towards each other. God is observant of whatever you do. These are guidelines for divorce and remarriage. You may argue that the triple divorce system is the biggest exploitation tool offered to men against women. Under this system, a man can divorce a woman by just uttering the divorce word 3 times. Remember that no mutual consent or mediator is required to complete this formality. Does universal God really understand the responsibilities of marital relationship and the place of women in the society? Women are treated like toys which may be thrown off if men don't like them or become fed up of playing with them and want to go for new toys. How can universal God change his stance when some time back so-called Son of God has pushed for one life, one wife theory? You may be right in your argument. But remember that the society I was living in was far from following the teachings of Jesus. You cannot force PhD syllabus on a first standard student. The path offered by me may not be as excellent as that of Jesus, but it was still better than what was being followed during that period of time in my land. Verse 238. Be ever mindful of prayers, especially the middle prayer, and stand up before God in submissive devotion. Verse 239. When you are exposed to danger, pray on foot or while riding. When you are safe again, remember God, for he has taught you what you did not know. These are guidelines for prayer. Verse 240. If any of you die and leave widows, make a bequest for them of a year's maintenance, without causing them to leave their homes. But if they leave of their own accord, you will not be blamed for what they may reasonably choose to do with themselves. God is almighty and wise. Verse 241. For divorced women a provision according to what is fair shall also be made. This is an obligation binding on the righteous. These are guidelines for compensation for widows and divorcee women. Verse 242. Thus God makes his commandments clear to you, so that you may understand. Verse 243. Have you not seen those who fled their homes in their thousands for fear of death, whereupon God said to them, Die, and later brought them back to life? Surely God is bountiful to mankind, but most of them are ungrateful. If we are not prepared to fight for our faith with our lives and all our resources, both our lives and our resources will be wiped out by our enemies. It has happened again and again in history that men who tamely submitted to be driven from their homes, although they were more numerous than their enemies, had the sentence of death pronounced on them for their cowardice. You may argue that what sort of faith or religion is this which requires us to fight with others? The faith promoted by me is not one more religion, where some good things are shared to society and society accepts it if it is able to digest it, or rejects the same and waits for something better. I am promoting a faith which is not just a religion, it's a revolution to change the society forcefully without giving the person any choice to accept or reject it. There is no scope for partial acceptance of my ideas to be used as filler with your present beliefs. Each and every word of mine has to be accepted as it is in full. If you are rejecting the same, then be prepared for a war. History shows that no revolution has ever succeeded without bloodbath and sacrifices. Verse 244. Fight in God's cause and remember that he is all-hearing and all-knowing. Verse 245. Who will give God a generous loan? He will multiply it many times over. It is God who withholds, and God who gives abundantly, and it is to him that you shall all be returned. Everything you devote for universal religion will be returned to you in multiplication. Let us see how this happens. If you spend time in promotion of universal religion, then you have stopped doing all other ordinary work. Hence you are left with plenty of time, that is multiplication of time. If you are spending wealth for promotion of universal religion, you automatically become a prominent personality in the community and people will start approaching you with more and more funds to support your work since you are spending something costlier than time for the promotion of universal religion. Consider multiplication of wealth here. For life lost, anyway you are eligible for life in the garden of river with pure companion forever. Multiplication again. Verse 246. Have you not heard of what the chiefs of the children of Israel demanded of one of their prophets after Moses? They said, Appoint for us a king, and we will fight for the cause of God. He replied, What if you refuse to fight, when ordered to do so? "Why should we not fight for the cause of God?" they replied, "when we have been driven forth from our homes and our children?" But when at last they were commanded to fight, they all refused, except a few of them. God knows the wrongdoers. Verse 247. Their prophet said to them, "God has now appointed Talut to be your king." But they replied, "How can he be king over us, when we are worthier of kingship than he, and he has not even been granted an abundance of wealth?" He said, "God has chosen him over you, and has given him great knowledge and physique." God grants kingship to whoever he pleases. God is magnanimous and all-knowing. Verse 248. Their prophet also said to them, "The sign of his kingship is that the ark of the covenant shall come to you. Therein shall be tranquility from your Lord, and the relics which the house of Moses and the house of Aaron left behind. It will be borne by the angels. There is a sign in this for you, if you believe." Verse 249. When Talut set out with his forces, he said to them, "God will test you with a river. Whoever drinks from it is not with me, and whoever does not drink is with me. There will, however, be no blame upon one who sips only a handful from it." But, except for a few of them, they all drank from it. When he and those who believed along with him had crossed the river, they said, "We have no strength today against Goliath and his warriors." But those of them who believed that they would meet God replied, "Many a small group, by God's command, has prevailed against a large group. God is indeed with the steadfast." Verse 250. When they met Goliath and his warriors, they said, "Our Lord, bestow patience upon us, make us stand firm, and help us against those who deny the truth." Verse 251. And so by the command of God they defeated them. David killed Goliath, and God gave him kingship and wisdom, and imparted to him the knowledge of whatever he willed. Had it not been for God's repelling some people by means of others, the earth would have been filled with corruption. But God is bountiful to his creatures. Story of Samuel, Saul, David, Moses, and Aaron, from Old Scriptures explained. Verse 252. These are the revelations of God which we recite to you in all truth, for you are truly one of the messengers. Verse 253. Of these messengers, we have given something additional among them. There are some to whom God spoke directly, and others he exalted in rank. We gave Jesus, son of Mary, clear signs, and strengthened him with the Holy Spirit. Had God pleased, those who succeeded them would not have fought against one another after the clear signs had come to them. But they disagreed among themselves. Some believed, while others did not. Yet had God willed, they would not have fought against one another, but God does whatever he wills. Prophets of different ages have been blessed with various capabilities, as per the need of the hour. God spoke to Moses directly. He led his men for 40 years, through the wilderness, mainly fighting against the disbelief of his own people. David, though a mere shepherd boy, overthrew the greatest warrior of his time, became a king, and waged successful wars. Jesus, son of Mary, not the Son of God, as claimed by him, had such an inner strength, he was prepared to die for his people, without any resistance. Each of them had their own character and capabilities, as a messenger. I am also one of them, have my own character. It's foolish to make a comparison between us, as every one of us is unique. It's impossible to compare between Krishna and Jesus. But both of them did play their part in developing a society with strong character and just behavior in their own styles. Verse 254. Believers, spend out of what we have given you, before the day comes when there will be neither trading, friendship, nor intercession. Truly, it is those who deny the truth who are the wrongdoers. I would suggest that spend everything, including your life, as suggested by me, as there won't be any negotiation on the judgment day. Verse 255. God, there is no deity save him, the living, the eternal one. Neither slumber nor sleep overtakes him. To him belong whatsoever is in the heavens, and whatsoever is on the earth. Who can intercede with him, except by his permission? He knows all that is before them and all that is behind them. They can grasp only that part of his knowledge which he wills. His throne extends over the heavens and the earth, and their upholding does not weary him. He is the sublime, the Almighty One. Praise universal God. Verse 256. There shall be no compulsion in religion. True guidance has become distinct from error. But whoever refuses to be led by Satan and believes in God has grasped the strong handhold that will never break. God is all-hearing and all-knowing. Verse 257. God is the patron of the faithful. He leads them from darkness to the light. As for those who deny the truth, their supporter is Satan, who brings them out of light into darkness. They are the heirs of the fire, and there they will remain forever. Although other than universal religion all faiths and religions are wrong, let there be a breathing space for them, and there shall be no compulsion on them to accept universal religion. Let them err by not following universal religion, and they shall definitely come back to us. Their God is evil and he can't stand against universal God. There is debate with respect to idols worshipping versus worshipping of single universal God. Jairam V has posted the following views in his blog on idol worship. Reasons for idol worship in Hinduism. Many Hindus have reservation about the use of the word idol in reference to the practice of worshipping the forms of God. They are justified in their response because in recent times many secular meanings have become associated with the word. We are using it here because it is how many people know the practice and search for information about it. Idol worship is that practice in Hinduism which refers to the worship of names and forms. The practice is peculiar to Hinduism because in no other religion you will find the worship of God in so many diverse ways and forms. According to Hinduism, the whole creation is a form of God. Every aspect in it that has a specific form and distinguishable also reflects His glory, because God is hidden in it. Hence, it is worthy of worship. When you say, God is this, you are limiting Him. When you say, God should be worshipped in this manner only, you are again defining and limiting your affinity and devotion to Him. Many religions scoff at the idea of idol worship as an act of superstition. But Hinduism accepts idol worship with open arms as a simple way of expressing one's faith, love, and devotion to God. There is a childlike innocence and purity of approach when a person stands reverently in front of an idol and bows before it in total submission, which qualities are hard to achieve by an adult grounded in materialism, but which are much sought after in the Bhakti Marg or the path of devotion in Hinduism. A devout Hindu is not much ashamed of going to a temple and bowing before an idol. He has no hesitation to stand in front of it and speak to it, as if he is talking to an individual with a faith and devotion that is exemplary. He may be rich, or he may be poor, he may be seeking something, or he may be simply praying without any expectation, but his commitment to what he is doing is unquestionable. If the idol remains mute without any response, which is generally the case, it would not shake his confidence or faith, for he is a realist too. Deep in his heart he knows the truth, suffering from no illusions. He will be contented with the mere fact that his prayers have been heard and accepted. When Muhammad Ghazni invaded India and attacked the famous Somnath temple, the temple priests there, instead of engaging themselves in self-defense, are said to have prayed continuously to the temple deity for help. But no help came forth, and the temple was plundered without mercy. History is replete with such instances, where Hindu idols were subjected to desecration and vandalization by the Muslim armies in medieval India. For reasons unknown to us, the gods remained silent and offered no material help. But, strangely, while all this was going on, the Bhakti path of devotion movement, of which idol worship was an integral part, was gaining ground throughout India, offering solace to millions. No amount of external violence and desecration of the temples could shake the faith of the Hindus in their gods and goddesses, and their sense of justice. It is not that Hindus worship their idols in vain. The idol is just a symbol, a form, with which the mind can be connected and concentrated upon. The ultimate reality is beyond the senses, beyond the known field of illusion or maya. All human activity, including the positive and negative aspect of it, is part of this great illusion from which man has no escape till he gains true knowledge. But sometimes, as recorded by human experience, the idols do respond and converse with man. If there is enough devotion in the heart of a devotee, God responds to him with a direct response. The lives of Mirabai, Sant Tukaram, Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa, and Sri Yogananda are a few instances to prove the point. They proved beyond doubt that idol worship has its own brighter side, and through simple faith and intense devotion one can realize God through it. According to historians, the Vedic Aryans did not worship idols, though they invoked various gods through performance of sacrificial rituals. The practice came into existence probably during the later Vedic phase, when many new tribes were incorporated into the Aryan society, and some of their practices, including the worship of idols, were accepted by the former as an acceptable form of divine worship. The practice became popular definitely by the Mauryan and post-Mauryan period, when idols and temples started appearing in various parts of India. The Guptas were great worshippers of Vishnu, and built many temples in his honor. There are enough reasons why a Hindu worships idols. There is no doubt that idol worship is a superior form of divine worship, a very simple way of uninhibited declaration of man's faith in God, if we put aside the empty ritualism and the pompous display that are generally found associated with it. We are presenting a few insights into why a devout Hindu worships his idols so dearly while the rest of the world looks at him with scorn, amusement, and disbelief. 1. It is the easiest way to install faith and devotion in man. As an abstract concept, God may be appealing to the intellectual minds, but to the ordinary individual, who is busy with his own household responsibilities and not well versed in the scriptural knowledge, scholarship, or the path of knowledge, may not be very appealing. On the contrary, an image can appeal to him instantly and draw him into religious life. The idol becomes to him all that God represents to others, the all-compassionate giver of boons and blessings, who would pay attention to their woes and help them in times of distress. 2. It is a way of acknowledging the omniscience and omnipresence of God. If God is omnipresent, then everything in the universe, including the idol one worships, is filled with his energy and presence. Everything in the universe becomes equally sacred and worth worshipping. When we look at the photograph of a person, we almost feel as if we are looking at the person, though we all know that it is just an image. If the photograph belongs to a great personality, someone like a national or religious leader, we treat it with a great respect, as if we are treating the real person. It would hurt our sentiments greatly if someone shows disrespect to it openly in the public or in front of us. In idol worship, the approach of a devotee is much the same. He ascribes a particular form or image to his personal God, and gives him as much love and respect as he would give to God himself. 3. In Hinduism, there is a religious sanction for such a practice. The Hindu epics and Puranas are full of instances where many devas, asuras, and human beings obtain boons from God after worshipping him in a particular image. The mighty demon King Ravana in the epic Ramayana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva and worshipped him religiously in the image of a shivling every day. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna does not condemn worshipping gods in various forms, though he advises his devotees to worship the Supreme Self only, because those who worship gods go to them while his devotees would come to him only. Besides, idol worship gives immense freedom to an individual to worship God in his own way. This is in line with the true traditions of Hinduism, which gives unlimited choice to its followers to approach God in whatever way they choose to worship him. 4. The idols help the devotee to become deeply religious. A devout Hindu goes to a temple and worships his favorite deity to charge himself with religious currents and keep himself going for days together amidst busy worldly activity. It reinforces his faith in God and his confidence to face the difficulties in life. Once installed in the house or in a puja mandir, place of worship in a house, the very house becomes a place of God's residence, a very sacred place, a temple by itself. The image that stands there reminds the devout members of the household to become constantly aware of the divine presence amidst them and of their religious duties and responsibilities. It inspires devout men to keep their houses pure and clean, and not to indulge in sacrilegious acts. 5. Aid to concentration. More than any abstract concept, an image, or a symbol, that is yantra, is the best aid to concentrate and control one's mind and attention. By keeping the mind concentrated on a particular image, the mind can be stabilized. Modern science is slowly unraveling the secrets of the mind and its capacity to manifest reality. It is now a widely accepted fact that mental images and forms one entertains in one's mind greatly shape one's life and destiny, and that the mind, especially the subconscious part of it, has the capacity to realize whatever form or symbol it concentrates upon. The ancient Hindus were aware of the potentiality of the mind, and therefore they did not object to the worship of idols. They knew that it is one of the best ways to lead the otherwise fickle human mind towards God. 6. In idol worship, the true worshipper becomes God. The statue stands symbolically for the whole process of creation. According to Hinduism, the worlds and beings came into existence when Purusha, that is divine will and consciousness, entered Prakriti, that is nature, energy or matter. The forms and ideas already exist in the consciousness of Hiranyagarbha, the world soul, the first creative golden germ, and he brings them to life by pouring into them his essence. The world, Viraj, was an idea until the life breath entered into it and brought it to life. The word Jagat, the world, means that which is bright, awake or conscious. When an idol is worshipped with intense love and devotion, almost a similar process takes place in the mind of the worshipper. The statue is no doubt inert and inactive piece of matter at the physical level, but in his mind, the devotee can pour his devotion and thought energies into it and bring it to life, and derive inspiration and guidance from it. This is exactly what happens when someone worships a deity deeply and devotedly. The idol, which is physically inert and unmoving, becomes alive and active, at least in his thoughts and dreams. In doing so, the worshipper is but repeating the act of creation. With the help of his mental energies, he is trying to bring to life in his mind an image that is outwardly inactive. Thus, deep in his inner world, he becomes a creator, the very Hiranyagarbha, God himself. 7. The statue reminds one of the ephemeral nature of our existence. The statue reminds a devotee of his or her own body. The gross body, which is the outer aspect of one's existence, is not much different from a statue as long as it is not suffused with divine light and divine consciousness. A person is as good or as alive as mere matter so long as he does not discover his true nature and come into contact with his true self. 8. It is the best means of silent communication. Idol worship is more effective than a prayer. Prayer is a part of idol worship, but not as effective as the latter. Idol worship helps us to concentrate the energies that emanate from a prayer into one strong flow of current in one particular direction. Besides, the supposed physical proximity to God intensifies the emotional fervor and makes the prayer charged with one's devotion and faith. 9. It is an acknowledgement of one's ignorance and helplessness. God is far and above, vastly unknown or known only through glimpses and symbols. The ordinary individual, who is a slave to his senses and desires, can never come face to face with him. How can he be known by him who is beyond the senses, the mind, the words, and even one's own intelligence, that is buddhi? The ego can never understand him. No amount of logic can help us to unravel his secrets. So the devotee creates an image of him in his mental world and worships him, expressing his gratitude and his deep devotion. 10. Worship of God is worship of self. It is also not known to many that when a devotee worships an idol in the most traditional manner, first he transfers a part of his prana, that is life energy, into the deity, sometimes variously to the water in a pot, a yantra, or a lump of sandal paste, etc., and thereafter worships it, as if it is a living and breathing deity, giving to it all the respect due to God, as per the scriptures and laid down procedures. According to Hinduism, man is verily divine. He is the microcosm, the very Brahman, in his aspect as Atman. All the divinities exist in him. All the powers too. Actually, when he is worshipping the idols, praying in front of them, he is invoking the divinity within himself to wake up and liberate him. When a devout Hindu folds his hands in front of deity and prays, his hands point to both the deity in front of him and the deity that reside in his heart, thus symbolically representing the fact that worship of deity is also worship of the divinity that exists in oneself. There are many reasons why a devout Hindu worships idols. These reasons may not satisfy the intellectual curiosity of an erudite scholar, but for a deeply religious Hindu, it is the best way of communicating with his gods and seeking their blessings. Religion is a matter of faith. No religion can arrogate to itself the ownership of God, or the status of a true religion condemning others. The paths to God are many, and many are the ways one can reach him. No one can doubt it or question it. The advice from the Isa Upanishad is very appropriate here, as a conclusion to this subject. Into blinding darkness enter those who worship ignorance, and into still greater darkness those who worship knowledge alone. He who knows both knowledge and ignorance together crosses death through ignorance and attains immortal life through knowledge. Website address http://www.hindουwebsite.com/idols.asp. End of Chapter 2, Part 12.